Yeah, so obviously after watching the video from last week, the turnovers were a huge deal. Turnovers and penalties offensively. Thought our defense did a really good job keeping us in the game in the first quarter, especially first half through the third quarter. That game could have been out of hand with the way we were turning the ball over, but they kept us in it. And then huge special teams play, and then offense really got going there in the fourth quarter, and find a way to win. So our guys have some character about them. They never believe they're out. We got to figure out obviously how to start faster and try to play better in the first, second, third quarter, because the last 2 weeks we've really not done that. We've had 6 turnovers on offense the last 2 weeks, you're not going to win games going forward if we have to do that. And then now, it doesn't matter. Everybody's 0-0, starting the conference. Going on the road. We've got a lot of guys the first time going on the road, and then you're going to who I picked is the preseason. I picked Georgia State to win the East because they've got, I think they had 16 out of their 22, 15, 16 super seniors, redshirt seniors, juniors. And they're too deep, so they're really talented, led by obviously their quarterback here from Conway, Darren. He does a fantastic job. They're very good, very experienced. And so if we play the way we have the last 2 weeks, we're going to get killed. And so we better play better overall, or they'll embarrass us. So we've got to do a good job there, going down there and taking care of the ball, and being able to handle an opposing crowd. That'll be the first time that we have a crowd that's not in favor of us, and traveling. First time a lot of guys in the hotel. So there's a lot of new stuff for us. Excited about being on TV. We've done pretty well on TV, so I know our players looking forward to that. And I'm actually excited about going on the road. There's something about going on the road and just being your group, and you fight and have to try to find a way to get a victory among 90 people total, and you're going against thousands. And so something cool about that from a coaching standpoint, from a team bonding standpoint. But big game for us, because you want to start out 1-0 in the league. Your ultimate goal is to win the East, and to win the East, you gotta try to take care of East opponents, and this is a big one.
Jamey, I'm going to go on a limb here and say that Darren's probably the best quarterback you guys have faced so far. What is it about him that stands out to you after watching what he's done over the first 3 games, and just his ability not only to the vertical game, but obviously using his legs as well? Just a dual threat quarterback, probably somebody that's the most dangerous you've seen so far.
Yeah, he's really good at a lot of things. I think one, you mentioned the vertical game. He can really stretch you vertically. He's got a really good arm, but then he's just as good when he gets outside the pocket and throws those the out routes and the different things they do with him. And then if you don't tackle him on either with a zone read or he breaks out of the pocket, he can really run, and he's big. So he by far is going to give us the most challenge we've seen up to this point, because he's dynamic in both ways, and they do a good job with their schemes to put him in position. So we'll have to do a good job of trying to contain him. And what I mean by that is, can we try to keep him in the pocket and beat us from the pocket? And he's capable of doing that. But if we let him get outside and beat us too, where he's a true dual threat, it's going to be tough on us. And so he's really good, and they got good players around him. 4 out of 5 offensive linemen have started over 3 years that they've got back, and then they've got 3 running backs that have started 3+ years, and then with the receiving core. So they're really talented offensively, and he's obviously the key to that ignition.
You kind of alluded to it already in your opening statement, but just finding a way to win for these guys. I mean, you Gardner went by 4, and then you guys really turned it on that fourth quarter despite all the turnovers. What's that say about the character and the makeup of your team here to start 3-0 and to battle such adversity, but still be able to find a way to win?
Yeah, and a lot of adversity has been our own self-inflicted, which is a little bit, the turnover-wise. But, you have a standard, you have an expectation, and I believe because of the players that played before, there's an expectation of winning. There's an expectation of, no matter what the circumstances are, you don't focus on those. You focus on what you can control. And I think our players, no matter what circumstances, either a team's created against us or we've done to ourselves, we've sort of locked those out and kept fighting, kept striking. Our big motto is strike the stone. Our guys have kept striking, and we've found a way. We've had, if you look at the last 2 weeks, we've had 2 big special teams plays that have sort of ignited us and allowed us to either jumpstart or stay in a ball game or something, and that happened obviously last week, and then we've been able to figure it out. And so, but the key is we're playing better and better teams. Georgia State is no doubt the best team we've seen. You can throw the records out. They played 2 really good teams, and then last week obviously Charlotte got them, and Charlotte's got a good club as well. We have to be able to find a way to start better. And if we don't, and we get behind them, you know, we're not going to be able to come back because they're too good.
You alluded to the fact that their offensive line is vastly experienced. You were able to get to the quarterback several times last week for sacks. How much more difficult is it going to be this week, putting pressure on Darren with the offensive line they have?
Well, two challenges with that. One, they've played a lot of football together, so they know, you know, they're not going to be surprised by anything we show them. Two, because they play at a fast tempo, try to wear you down a little bit. And then three, he's elusive. And so you add all that in there, it makes it more challenging. Now, we still got to try to get to him and make some plays on him, but it does make it more difficult. So you got to be smarter on how you try to do that because, as I said, if you can keep him in the pocket, at least he's in the pocket. He's not a dual threat from the pocket, but when he's outside, now he can throw and run. It makes it even more challenging for us. So we'll have to have a great plan to get after him, and hopefully we can. If we can do that, then you like your chances. If we let him just go wild, I mean, I think last year he had over 300 something. Last week he had over 300 something yards throwing. I think 4 or 5 touchdowns throwing. So he shows he can hurt you.
Would you say that good Bennett and Jenkins are all doubtful for this week?
I would say the first two definitely. Jenkins is what's the next one? Questionable.
Questionable. Yeah.
Questionable.
Okay.
With him being questionable, if he can't go, how does that affect you in a game plan situation, given what he's been able to do over the last 2 weeks in the passing game to give you guys another option, not unlike you had with Likely?
It hurts, obviously if he can't play because he's obviously had the 2 touchdowns here recently, but he's what he's been great at is he blocks well and he doesn't make mistakes. He goes to the right person in some of those. Now we've missed the last 2 weeks. Xavier Gravett, who's been a senior, has missed the last 2 weeks, so he's back. So having both of them would be great if we don't. But Xavier's a threat from the passing game as well, and he's played a lot of football for us, which will be good. So we're getting him back. We're hoping to have both of them, but Xavier is coming back. So hopefully that won't be as big as a loss as it could be if Xavier can come back.
Yeah, it's got to be frustrating to be 3 weeks or 3 games in the season and be as banged up as you guys are.
Oh, yeah.
At this point, and then last week it just seems like every blue moon there was another guy going down. And how frustrating is it trying to game plan when you don't even know who you have?
Well, it's hard. It started obviously with the 2 running backs. You lose. I tell people we lost. A tight end that's in the NFL, receiver that's in Canada, another receiver, and running back that got opportunities. They'll be playing somewhere. But you felt like you can't replace those guys, but you felt like you had a lot of explosiveness coming back. And then you have the injuries with the guys currently, and you're plugging and playing. It is challenging, but also it gives people opportunities to show up and do something. C.J. Beasley maybe wasn't on anybody's radar beginning, and look what he's done the first 3 weeks. And so people have to step up. What makes it hard is we're not allowed – I say not allowed – we're not able to give those young guys maybe some experience in garbage time or something where they can sort of make some mistakes and it maybe not affect the team overall. Now, anytime you make a mistake, you can look last week, we put a first carry for one of our guys that we moved to running back, and he dropped the ball. He wasn't meaning to drop the ball, but he's out there and he's nervous, he's scared, and he dropped the ball. It's a big play, at that time frame. And so the mistakes that those guys are making, some of the inexperienced mistakes they're making when it matters, and that's just where we're at right now with their injuries. And so it is frustrating, it's challenging, but at the end of the day, nobody cares. Whether all they care about is, hey, win, figure out how to way to win. And so that's sort of been our mindset is, hey, nobody's going to feel sorry for us. We got to put guys in position to try to help the team score points and make some plays, and that's what we're going to do. Somebody will step up, and we've had some people step up, and we've got confidence. We've got confidence in our players that whoever's out there, they're going to figure it out and find a way to win. We believe that's the expectation, and so we've never one time said, oh, woe is me. All these guys are hurt. We can't win. That's not our mentality. We're going to find a way to win, and our players know that, believe that, and that's what the expectations are. So those young guys, they got to grow up and make those plays.
Sam had a really nice game for you, and now he's going up against his former team here in Georgia State. Just about his play and really stepping up to kind of lead that receiving corps.
He's done tremendous. I think we shared during the preseason that, he's been a big addition. Obviously, we knew what type of player he can be, and he's showing that. He's made some tough catches for us, but more so just the way he prepares, the way he practices, and he's a good example for that receiver crew. That receiver crew, with the exception of Tyson Mobley, I think had played a combined like 5 games. So we needed somebody a little older to show him the way, and he's done a good job with that.
Talk to a little bit about the Georgia State defense, kind of what you expect to see from them on Thursday?
Well, one thing I'll say is they're very aggressive. They're going to do some different things. They've got some really good players on all three levels, whether that's the D line, linebackers, secondary. I think their secondary is the most active and physical that we've seen, and up front they're the best D line that we've seen to this point. They're very active. They got a lot of players and they do a lot of movement. And they've given us challenges, and we're going to have to do a good job. We know they're going to try to mess with our young offensive line. We're going to have to do a good job of making sure that we know where we're going, and instead of having us guessing where they're at, we got to make sure we know what we're doing up front, so we eliminate any missed assignments or just mental errors that can cause huge bust. We've had a few here recently, so we've really tried to tighten our package up to where our guys know what they're doing, and so there's no mental errors on that side of the ball. But they're very talented, and what's challenging for them is you look at South Carolina. They played South Carolina really well. That game got out of hand because of the punts, but it was a 20-14 game in the fourth quarter. And then at North Carolina typically scores a lot of points. Scores 63 versus App, but only 35 versus Georgia State. And Georgia State stopped them twice and gave their team a chance. So they played pretty well. And then last week they gave up 2 turnovers. Georgia State's offense had 2 turnovers. They gave up 2 touchdowns. And so that game's 42-41. But they're right in that where they're holding people in the 20-point range. And so they'll be the most talented we've played. We'll have to execute at a high level to score points against them because they've got those type of players. Again, very heavy senior-laden, a lot of redshirt seniors, super seniors, a lot of older players that play for them on that side of the ball.
How do you keep Grayson not being able to get frustrated after the first 3 games? I mean, obviously missing spring and then missing a lot of the fall still on pitch count things, just not playing to what he's used to given what he came off of the surgery. How do you keep him mentally into the situation without him getting frustrated at what he knows he can do and kind of what we're seeing right now?
It's hard, and I think he handled it. I think the Gardner-Webb game, he struggled with that. I think last week he handled it tremendously. We were struggling, moving the ball, turnovers and all that, but he didn't let it affect him, and then in turn it didn't affect our team. He obviously knows the level that he can play at, and he knows where he's at from a physical standpoint. But he also knows that we've got some younger guys around that are going through some growing pains. But he recalls that when he was going through some of his, he had some older guys that tried to help him through some of that, and that's what he's trying to do. And I think he's getting better and better with that. The main thing he's got to do is just play. I think because of the inexperience, because of coming off all those all those different things, I think sometimes he feels like he has to try to do too much. Just play the way he's capable of. So we try to spend a lot of time just talking about that and enjoying it. Don't put so much of a burden on you because all these outside expectations. Just enjoy being a college football player. Enjoy being, being the leader of this team. And I thought he handled that very well last week compared to the previous week, and he'll get better and better with that.
Would you say that Georgia State's probably the best 0-3 team in the country? I mean, they're a few plays away from being 2-1 or 3-0.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, they're 2 punt blocks away from beating South Carolina, and then the North Carolina game could have went either way, and then last week was either way. So 100%. As I said earlier, I mean, I would not be if they were 3-0, I wouldn't be surprised. I think that's how talented they are because he's got the most. Him and probably App's got the most experience, and everybody back in this whole league. And so that's why those 2 teams were picked. Were picked, at least by me, to represent our division. So I think that's how good they are. And so. We'll have to, as I said, play well to go win that game because of the experience and the toughness and the challenge that they bring.
C.J. Brewer got to play last night, 2 tackles in the Monday Night Football game. Another guy getting to step up and get to make an impact in the NFL from that great team he had last season. What can you say about C.J. Just the hard work he's been able to put in?
Awesome. I'm proud of him. One, he had a tryout, got cut. Bills brought him in, signed him to a contract. He goes through all camp trying to make the team. They cut him but put him on the practice squad. Somebody gets hurt and he steps in and plays, and he's just believing in himself, never doubting. And then to have that, him and Toronto were both on Monday Night Football last night. And then we got 3 D linemen, if you count Jeff Gunner, 3 D linemen over the last 2 years that are representing Coastal in the NFL. So I mean, obviously that says a lot about Coach McGee and what he's been able to do. But we're watching video after practice and we pause it because he gets in, and it's a cool experience because he's sat right here. Y'all have interviewed him and you know what type of kid he is, and just to see guys live out their dreams and be told maybe you're not big enough, you're not fast enough, you're not this or that, and say, okay, I'm gonna still prove you wrong and be able to live that out, even if it's once. You know, I think he'll obviously continue to play, but even if it's once, you have to play Monday Night Football in the NFL. I mean, that's an awesome experience.
Coach, we got one more question from Zoom on that.
Charlie Kraft, he loves the us versus everyone mentality and how road games seem to bring teams together. His question is, what do you like about road games?
I love that, you know, you're in a hotel, it's just you and your team and the guys that are battling to go out and get a victory, and it is that you against everybody else. And I love the tightness and the bondness that you create on the road, you know, eating dinner together, you're in the rooms together, you're having a team meeting at night, and you're going through a bunch of different things, and it's just you, and and you're wearing you know, you got your coastal stuff on and nobody else does, you know, and you're repping somebody you're very proud of. And I think it brings a group of people together. Because you know you're fighting for something that you want, and everybody there is out against you, and nobody's expecting you to do something. And I love that underdog mentality when nobody's expecting you to do certain things, and you get a chance to go prove people wrong. I think our team and our young men thrive on that when they're doubted like that, and I love going on the road with that. And I think we've had some success here recently on the road, and I expect us to be the same, you know, as we continue this, as we travel out Wednesday.
Any other questions for Coach?